Hi boys and girls, welcome to the 4-4 direct variation video. I don't think this section is really hard. I think you'll enjoy it. We are still going to be working with slope as promised, but this isn't too challenging. I think you'll get through this pretty quickly. All right, so we're going to be starting on page 213 in your workbook. Okay, they give you some vocabulary here, and it's a very intimidating vocabulary. And but I went ahead. This is what a direct variation equation looks like. It's got an x and a y. It will graph as a straight line. M stands for slope, which you already know. And this whole section is all about finding out what M is and either graphing the line, or they'll give you the line and you have to give them an equation, different ways that they represent direct variations to you. This is called a direct variation. It will always go through the origin, 0, 0, and then it goes up at some rate. Okay, constant of proportionality and constant of variation are really scary ways of saying slope. And direct variation is a really scary way of saying a graphable equation. Yeah. Okay, so here's what we have. A direct variation is a linear relationship, so it's a line, in which the ratio of y to x is constant m, which has a slope. It passes through 0, 0, and then see this line has a slope of 2, because to go from here to here, we would go up 2 and right 1. So it has a slope of 2 over 1. Page numbers are too low. Okay, so on page 214, the slope of the graph of y equals mx is m. Since 0, 0 is one solution of y equals mx, the graph of a direct variation relationship always passes through the origin. This is, I'm not really sure why they chose to do this. They're giving you the slope formula, and they're saying, okay, imagine that you have some point xy. Well, all the points are xy. And then they're saying, you know, the other point is 0, 0. So we need to come up with the m. We want to come up with the slope of this line. Well, they're saying that you would go up y and right x. So that would be your slope, up y, right x. And so then what they do to get an equation is they want y by itself, so they multiply both sides by x and they get this. For some reason they wanted to show you how they derive the equation for that. Don't get too caught up in that. Okay, so here we have a real example. The cost y of gymnastics lessons varies directly with the number of sessions as shown in the graph. So they're charging you so much per gymnastics lesson. The more lessons you take, the more money you have to pay. Okay, here's a graph showing how the amount of money you spend goes up as the number of sessions you buy also goes up. So find the constant of variation, find the slope, constant of variation is slope, and interpret its meaning, okay? Well, here we start at 0, 0. You have taken no lessons and you have paid no money. After you have one lesson, you have paid $10. So the slope is 10 over 1, which means 10 over 1 is our slope, which means for every lesson you take, you pay $10. So you take 2 lessons, you pay $20, all right? So 10 is the constant of variation, all right, or the slope. So here we have an example that they want us to fill out. The time y it takes you to hear thunder varies directly with your distance x from the lightning. So the further away you are from the lightning, the longer it takes to hear the sound of the lightning after it has lightninged. Whatever lightning does, okay? So if we look at the graph, we're basically trying to find the slope, okay? If you are 1 mile away, it takes 5 seconds for you to hear the thunder. If you are 2 miles away, it takes 10 seconds, all right? So the constant of variation, or the slope, from here to this point is up 5, right 1. So the slope is 5 over 1, or just 5. So one thing they will do in this section is give you a graph and ask you to write the equation for it, okay? You just write y equals whatever the slope number is and then x. The y and the x will always be there. The equal sign will always be there. The only thing that will change is the 5, okay? Depending on the slope, that's the number you put here. Now they're going to show you how to write a direct variation equation when you don't have a graph, you just have words. okay? The cost of bulk peanuts varies directly with the weight of the peanuts. At a local grocery store, 2 pounds of peanuts cost $5.80. Well, your goal is to know how much one is going to cost. You always want to know one. You want a unit rate, okay? So we take the $5.80 and we divide it by 2 pounds because we want to know how much 1 pound is. So 580 divided by 2 is 290. So we now know that peanuts cost $2.90 for every pound. So we write the equation. Like I said, see, the y is always going to be here. Then there's always going to be an equal sign. Then the slope number, then the x. Okay? So x, you would go 2.9 times the number of pounds you buy equals how much you spent. That's what it means. So it means that the cost per pound of peanuts is $2.90. So now we have our own word problem. I can rip out my handy dandy electronic writing utensil of math. The amount of money Olivia earns varies directly with the number of weeks she works. After 4 weeks, Olivia earned $3,000. Okay, so we know she, I need pen. Okay, we know she made $3,000 in 4 weeks. But what we want to know is how much does she earn in 1 week? All right, so we do 3,000 divided by 4, and we get 750. All right, so Olivia is earning $750 per week. Okay, so the constant of variation, or the slope, is 750. And we can write the equation, y equals 750x. All right, always starts with a y, ends with an x. And it means that she earns $750 a week. Per week. Not too bad, right? All right, now they're going to give you a table. Well, you know how to find slope from a table. Tables are easy. Tables are fun. We like tables. All right, let's find the slope from this table. Remember, slope is the change in y over the change in x. This is x. This is y. It says it right there, see? How is x changing? Up by 2, up by 2, up by 2. X is going up by 2. How is y changing? Up by 4, up by 4, up by 4. So the change in y, up by 4, over the change in x, up by 2, means that this reduces to positive 2. So that's our slope. Okay? And they have you use 2 points. They have you using the 0.24 and the 0.48 and using the slope formula. But I think this up by 2, up by 4 thing is much easier. So that's what I do. Okay, so we know that m is 2, so we put a 2 here. And the direct variation equation is y equals 2x. The constant of variation is equal to the slope. So the constant of variation is 2. This means that the unit rate is 2 cups of flour per cup of oats. That's the little story problem they had going over there. Kind of lame story, whatever. The time it takes Madeline to swim laps is shown in the table. The time spent swimming varies directly with the number of laps she swims. This is kind of lame because you know what? She might be able to swim 1 lap in 45 seconds. She might even be able to swim 2 laps in 90 seconds. But by the time she swam 4 laps, she's starting to slow down. You can't tell me she can swim at the same rate for 4 laps. Whatever. Okay, so we want to know change in y over change in x. We're all about the slope. All right, x is going up by 1, up by 1, up by 1. Y is going up by 45, up by 45, up by 45. So the slope is positive 45 over positive 1, which we know we need to write as 45. Okay, write a direct variation equation to represent the relationship. It always starts with y equals, you put your slope here, and then you put the x. That's our direct variation equation. Identify the constant of variation. It's 45. And what this means is it takes her 45 seconds to swim 1 lap. Pretty straightforward, right? Oh, look at the kitty. I love a kitty. Oh, a cat's heart can beat 220 times in 2 minutes, nearly twice as fast as a human heart. Assume the number of heartbeats, y, varies directly with the number of minutes, x. Write and solve a direct variation equation to determine how many times a cat's heart beats in 5 minutes. Okay, so they've got it a little complicated here because now they want us to use our equation to solve for 5 minutes. So I'll show you how to do that. But we know that a cat's heart beats 220 times in 2 minutes. But remember, we need a unit rate. We need to know how many times it beats in 1 minute. So we divide 220 divided by 2 is 110 beats in 1 minute. That's our slope, our rate of change. Okay, every minute that goes by, we have another 110 beats. Okay, so our equation is y equals 110x. But that's not what they want. They want to know how many times a cat's heart beats in 5 minutes. Well, x is minutes. It tells you that right here. X is minutes. So we're going to replace x with 5. 110 times 5 is 550. And that's the answer they're looking for. 550 beats in 5 minutes. Pretty cool. Okay, here we have another word problem. This is a charter bus travels 210 miles in 3.5 hours. Assume the distance traveled varies directly with the time traveled. Write and solve a direct variation equation to find how far the bus will travel in 6 hours. They're saying, now let's assume that it's traveling at a constant rate and it doesn't slow down or speed up, doesn't get pulled over by the cops or anything. Oh, let's just assume that that's the case. We know it can travel 210 miles in 3.5 hours. We want to know how many miles can it travel in 1 hour. All right, so we do 210 divided by 3.5, and we get 60. Okay, that's our slope. That's our constant of variation. If we wanted to write this as an equation, we would write y equals 60x. Says, how far will the bus travel in 6 hours? Well, x is hours, okay? So it's going 60 miles every hour, all right? And so if we go ahead and put 60 and we substitute 6 for x, our time, we would find that the bus would travel 3,600 miles in 6 hours. Yes, pretty cool, right? Okay. So today's secret word, I've got this little meme over here. Here we see a wild bus drinking water from a river. In your question, I'm going to say, what was the wild bus doing? And you will have to answer, it was drinking water from the river. Okay, pretty easy. All right. I think you're going to like this section. All right. That's all for today. Make sure that you have written all these notes down in your workbook and go over and answer the secret question. And I will see you in the practice video. Good day.